So the first question will go to Garen from the Tulsa World. Garen, you're up.
Okay, thanks. Happy holidays, Mike. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Same to you.
Yes, sir. I'm wondering how much. I know you've still got one go around with this bunch, and it's a pretty big one with Notre Dame being the opponent. But how much are you going to miss this team? Miss coaching this team?
Yeah, this is a special group. You guys that have followed with us all along. You know, we started out the season, and I mean, I'm not on social media, but I'm going to guess people thought they'll be lucky to win 5 or 6 games. And we came along, and they've gotten better and better. What's so special about this group is they're really good kids. They're quality young men that do what we ask them to do. They work hard, and that's the fun thing. You know, it's like raising kids. Nothing's ever perfect, but if we all work together, we listen, we learn, and we get better and better in this group. I'm going to miss these guys. It's you know, and it's been tough over the last few weeks to not have Jim Knowles here. In his own way, you know, he's you know, a part of this, and it's been tough to not listen to him out at practice complaining about what's going on. But it'll be tough to let this group go.
You talked about it's like kids. And coaches have compared their teams to different kids over their careers. What are the defining characteristic traits of this version of your kids, of this team, you think?
You know, so with me, I've done this so long that I evaluate our coaches and our players and our team and our organization based on everybody trying to maximize their potential and get the very most out of them. I've said this before. Head coaches are evaluated on wins and losses. I fully understand that head coaches have to win to keep their job, but these guys, I evaluate them on if they do what we ask them to do, and they do it to the best of their ability, and that's what they've done. And so it's just fun to be around people / young men that are trying to do the best they can and improve every day. We practiced today for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and they're laughing, they're having fun, they're competing, they're running to the ball. And so we can just sit back as coaches and make some corrections and enjoy the process. And you don't always get a group of players that are accustomed to doing that every day. And this group has now for 5 months.
Okay, thanks.
Next question will go to Jacob from the Oklahoman. Jacob, you're on.
Hey, Mike. Curious, you said when you got to Arizona, you're going to decide who's going to call the plays for the defense on Saturday. Have you made that decision, and what led to that decision, if you have?
I told them that I would make that decision on Thursday. I really like how our defense is practicing. I'm leaning toward making some adjustments and moving coaches from where they were on the sideline to in the box. And I'm leaning toward using 2 coaches instead of 1 in just what I'm watching in practice. I have a pretty good idea what I want to do right now, but I would hate to say that it might change. And I want to watch these practices really close and see how things are going with our coaches and their communication with the players, which is very important on game day. I'm comfortable with what's happened. Over the last 3 weeks, I've only watched defense. I haven't spent a lot of time watching offensive football right now since Coach Knowles left. So I'm going to watch the next couple days and then sit down with the defensive staff and meet with them and explain to them what I think is best for the game.
When you mentioned communication was key, what else is key when you look at those coaches the next few days?
Well, you cut out a little bit. Say it again.
You mentioned communication is key for on game day, but what else do you look at when you're evaluating these coaches and practices the next few days?
Right. So we compete offensively and defensively in live situations in practice, and I watch to see the interaction and the decision making that takes place during those competitive practices, because essentially that's what happens on game day. They'll get 75 of those in game day. In practice, we're only getting about 21, but it gives me a good feel for what's going on. So I've kind of alternated coaches that are up in the front and then in the back end of the defense and let them work together. And I'm really surprised they know it really well. I'll be honest, when I first started, I wasn't sure that anybody was quite up to par with the level that Jim was, because essentially this was his system. Terminology and system's a big deal. Now we've morphed it into a different concept over the last couple of years, but essentially it was his to start with. And I'm pleased with the other 4 guys in there that they're very, very up to date, for lack of a better term, on what we're doing scheme wise, terminology wise, defensively in the big picture.
Thank you, Coach. Next up, we'll go with Hallie Hart from Stillwater. Hallie?
Hi, Coach Gundy. How are you?
I'm good, Hallie. How are you?
Doing well. With so many young guys who have been active on this team, the Colin Olivers, Jaden Brays, all of them, how are you seeing them react to their first bowl game experience now that everyone's out there?
I mean, they're going to get spoiled at the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, because when you talk about location, weather, hospitality, lodging accommodations, things to do, the environment, facilities, this is a really special bowl. And the majority of the players are kind of in awe with the way that we get treated here. So there's 125 what I call yellow coats, or the volunteers that are here all the time helping with us. We can't go anywhere without them being right there asking, what can we do for you? So that's a little bit of an unrealistic expectation of what it's like at this bowl. And Colin and those guys and a number of those first year players to go to a bowl, they're kind of in awe of how nice this is here in Scottsdale.
Hallie, did you have a follow-up question?
I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, next we'll go up to Eli from the Tulsa World.
Hey, Mike, belated Merry Christmas. I hope I found the quietest spot in the Phoenix airport. Going back to the defensive play caller for Saturday, I mean, how much of that could be an audition for one of these guys? I know you've said you didn't commit internal hire, external hire, but what could the guy, the 2 guys you picked show you?
It could be. I hate to use the word audition for them. My job is to be as fair as possible to everybody involved, but I also have the ultimate responsibility of doing whatever is best for Oklahoma State football. So that's why I've used the last 3 weeks to take all of this in. And as I said earlier, I have been very impressed with the guys in that room. So I feel really good about saying on Thursday, these are the 2 guys that I want to call plays, and I want to watch, and I want to listen on the sideline as I do during games and see how things go. But I also want them to be in a relaxed environment where they can just call a game and not be concerned about an audition. I want them to just enjoy the moment, and our defense is going to play good. Ultimately, the players play and the coaches don't really have much to do on game day. And so that's the advantage we have at this time without Coach Nose being here, is the same guys will be on the field.
And then on the other side of the ball, I mean, beginning with Danny Godlewski, where are you guys at health-wise going into this one?
Well, Danny's not going to be able to play in this game. We could have pushed him to a point, but I don't think it would be fair to him to put him out there at this time. But otherwise, from a health standpoint, we're in good shape.
All right, we'll go to Chris from Herm FM Radio.
Hi, Coach Gundy. Thanks for taking my question. Congratulations on making it to the Fiesta Bowl. Playing in that stadium where the Arizona Cardinals play, what do you guys have to do in that environment? Because that's probably, you guys don't play a lot in a dome situation.
So when we practice, about 25% of our practice is with music blaring, really loud music, and it gives us a good simulation of what it's like to be in a noisy environment and also in a dome. We've played in several domes over the last 6 to 8 years in bowl games, and what you're saying is correct. It's interesting in these domes. Like I watched the Cardinals play the Colts the other night, and it was loud for both teams, not just the Colts, but also for the Cardinals. So we do the best we can with music in practice that's extremely loud to try to simulate what it could be in a dome.
Coach, one of our media members is having trouble with his microphone, so he sent me a message via chat. I'm going to ask. It's from Jason Barry here in Phoenix at Channel 3 and CBS 5. He would like me to ask what health precautions you and the staff are taking in light of some of the other bowl games having to be canceled because of COVID.
The ultimate, we want to play this game. We're going to play this game unless we can't find 11 players. But we are masked up in meetings. We're masked on buses. Our team meetings are outside. They're not in the facility. We moved them out to the tennis courts to spread everybody out. We're doing the best we can. Up to this point, we've been very fortunate. Our medical staff has given us good information. Our players understand the importance of trying to be as cautious as possible. But we also, we're at an unbelievable bowl site, as you know, and guys are, they're going to go to the Phoenix Suns game tonight, and they're going to wear masks on the bus. And are some players going to get the virus? They probably are. We've had just a few that have gotten it over the last few days. I'm just, as you watch and just try to gauge percentages, I would guess there's going to be a few more get it, but we are 100% fully committed to playing this game. And we want nothing more to be as healthy as possible and to play this game, but we also want to be able to enjoy Scottsdale, and we want to be able to enjoy the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. So we are back to full protocol, which what we had last year. And so far we've been fortunate. We've had good practices, and the large majority of us have been healthy.
Coach, we're going to go back to Garen from the Tulsa World. Garen, go ahead.
Thanks. 2 weeks ago, Mike, I asked you about the opportunity that there is to play Notre Dame and how neat it is for guys like you and me in our generation who grew up with, the old game films and the nostalgia and things like that. And you said something during your answer that I thought was really interesting, that your program is in a different place in terms of that matchup, that you built a program of pretty high prestige and marketability, especially the last 5 to 10 years. I was wondering if I could get you to expand on that comment and how you see this as an opportunity, not just to share the field with a program as regal as Notre Dame, but really for your program's sake as well.
I think there's 5 helmet logos that stand out to all of us in college football. And I'll just say Notre Dame's one of them. I really don't want to get into the other 4 because I don't want to get people comparing one way or the other. But I think that most of us that have followed college football for a long time would say that Notre Dame's helmet's going to stand out across the country. The thing that I was referring to is Oklahoma State's logo now is marketable and popular from coast to coast. We've had tremendous success for a long time here, and we've been fortunate enough to play and go toe-to-toe with top 5, top 10 teams for a number of years now. And so we have a marketable logo. I have all the respect in the world for Notre Dame's helmet. I'm good with all that. But I think people respect Oklahoma State's logo, and our players, they want people to respect that. That's why I was really excited about playing this game. As I mentioned several years ago, when Coach Holder was the AD, he and I tried to schedule Notre Dame, and we didn't have any luck. They're scheduled so far in advance, but we wanted to try to play a home and home with them because we thought it would be good for Oklahoma State to play Notre Dame. So it worked out for us. It's fortunate. This is a really good football team. I think they deserve to be ranked 5th in the country. And I understand their helmet and their logo, but we're very proud of Oklahoma State's logo, and we're looking forward to competing in the game.
Okay, we're going to go to Marshall Scott. Marshall from Pistols Firing.
Yeah, Mike, you have a couple of guys reportedly in the transfer portal. Are those guys available to you on Saturday?
Which there's been, I don't know, we've had 4 or 5. Which ones are you talking about?
Mainly Tanner and Jaden Jernigan.
Tanner and who?
Jaden Jernigan.
Oh yeah, they're here with us. Yeah, they're practicing and both those guys practiced great, and they'll be playing with us in the bowl game. You know, I mentioned this to you guys that maybe 3 weeks ago that we hadn't had really anybody in the portal, and I said before it's all said and done, you're going to have 3 or 4 players. Sometimes you're going to have players that want to go somewhere and be a full-time starter and play the majority of the time. Defensively, we rotate a lot of guys, and so JJ and McAllister, not McAllister, Tanner. Those guys, they might leave, they might not. So I think it's just kind of a sign of the times. They put themselves out there to see what's out there, and if it's something they think's better, they might take it. If not, they might come back.
Okay, we're going to finish up with Eli from the Tulsa World, and then we'll get on with Coach Freeman. So Eli.
Mike, just back to the COVID-19 protocols. I mean, the new policy essentially left it up to the programs in terms of testing. What did you guys, I guess, return to or stick with for this week?
With protocol for COVID?
In terms of testing, yes.
So we tested, the last test we had was before we left. And here, if we have symptoms, then we immediately bring them in and test them, and we deal with it from that point moving forward.